I'm Brandon Alford. I am a clinical social worker at a Detroit area nonprofit. So what that means is I'm an independently licensed mental health clinician. So I went to school, my bachelor's degree I got at the University of Arkansas, which is where I'm from. So I'm a transplant from the South. Went to grad school at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. Studied mental health and then interpersonal practice, which is a fancy way of saying therapy.
Okay.
And went straight into juvenile justice services from there, and now I'm an independently licensed mental health practitioner.
Okay.
So I do therapy and clinical services for the juvenile justice system in Detroit.
So how long have you been practicing?
So I have been independently licensed for a little under a year, but I've been out of graduate school since summer of 2014. So I've been in the field at a master's level for about 4 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you went to U of M?
I did, okay. Yeah. It was kind of my shot in the dark school. So I
really?
Yeah. So I'm in Arkansas, again where I'm from, and I decided that I was a little late getting my undergraduate degree. I was in my 20s. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to treat myself for grad school. So I picked the top 3 schools, decided that I would go to the top one that accepted me, in the U of M. Michigan happens to have the top social work program in the nation. So when they accepted me, I was like, that's where I got to be.
That's awesome.
So so dropped everything, no family, no anything here, came here for grad school, and had an awesome grad school experience, minored in mental health and then policy and evaluation. So came straight out of grad school thinking I was going to go back home to Arkansas.
Yeah.
Had a change of heart based on an internship opportunity I had in Detroit. Loved the work that I was doing. I felt like I was really making an impact in this area. Mm-hmm. This is kind of frontline social work. If you're in the Detroit area doing clinical work. Mm-hmm. So I've had a change of heart and stuck around. So I've been in the juvenile justice system in Detroit pretty much ever since I graduated. So working mostly with at-risk youth and families who are part of the juvenile justice system and helping them kind of better their circumstances.
So do you work primarily like one-on-one or with the families or groups? Or?
Yeah, so it's kind of everything, which is what I love about the space that I work in. So I do a lot of one-on-one therapy with youth. I do a lot of family system interventions because we know that youth don't exist in a vacuum. Their family system is such a huge part of what's going on in their lives. Mm-hmm. So I do a lot of family work, and then also a lot of community work with judges, with attorneys, with service providers. So it's kind of like all levels of practice because I kind of like to have my hands in everything. So that space really works out well with me for that. So group therapy too. So I've kind of done it. I've done it all.
So when you say group therapy, like what are the different ranges of the topics that you maybe kind of help people out with?
So a lot of what I do is what we call psychodynamic groups. So a lot of that is educational groups, just with skill building or with education on a particular clinical topic. So we may have, if anxiety is kind of a hot topic in that moment, we may discuss what anxiety is and what it isn't, because we've got a lot of misinformation and stigma out there about different emotional states and conditions. Yeah. So a lot of that is clearing the air about those things. Mm-hmm. A lot of it is, true group therapy is a peer-led process. So really what that is me kind of like creating the spark, and then the fire is peer facilitated. So they're the ones that are kind of engaging with one another and whatever topic's most relevant to them, and I'm kind of steering it along as we go. So so it kind of runs the gamut. So it's either a relational piece or it's psychoeducational.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I have some experience kind of being in small groups.
Sure.
And getting everything out there, and then I know exactly, like you're kind of mediating, officiating, making sure everything's, I get it.
Yeah, and if I'm not doing the educating, if that's not the goal of the group, the best therapists, the best clinicians are the ones that say the least. Because again, it's peer informed. So if there's a good group dynamic, then they're the ones doing the work.
Such as Syphus.
Such as Syphus, exactly, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. So I mean, I guess kind of to segue into the next thing I was going to ask you. You're still relatively new. I was looking at your stats.
That's true.
You've got about 72 workouts, I think it is.
Yeah, people that I work out with around here, they know that too. They can tell. So.
Really? You think so? I don't think so. So you have great form already, and absolutely, and I think that's the best compliment I can give somebody is based on their form. I was surprised to see that it was only that few workouts, and you took a little hiatus.
I did.
So you want to talk about where you started, when you started, and
so I play soccer with a group of guys in Southfield, and it was actually my first real social connection when I came to Michigan.
Okay.
So I met a really great group of people, very welcoming. I'd had some soccer background and started playing with these guys. One of them had come to Syphus for a few weeks and said, "Hey, dude, look, you've been talking about conditioning, you've been talking about wanting to improve kind of your fitness. I've tried what they call the hardest workout, and I believe it, right?"
Yeah.
So they were like, "Come with me to Syphus one day."
Does he still do this?
He does not. He does not. Yeah, he doesn't do it anymore. Yeah. So, and this was I was living in Royal Oak at the time when I first came to Michigan. So back when the penthouse was still around. So I started out there. I think this was like December of 2016.
Okay.
Started out at the penthouse, did my trial workout, the newbie workout, and I was just blasted. I mean, like I came out of that sore and whining and just like, but I loved it. I mean, it was just, it was so engaging for me in a way that I was not familiar with.
Honestly, kind of my goal for this whole segment or series of videos that we're going to do is seeing how people progress along, I would say, a timeline of sorts throughout Syphus training, and it also kind of it plays on their mentality and how they view both the form first mentality and chasing scores and stuff like that.
Sure.
The way you already approach Syphus is kind of like the accelerated path. Not everybody gets to that, like, okay, we got to focus on form right away. And I think a lot of people can learn from that approach. Keep tuning in because there's a lot more to come.